G'day all, welcome to GranTurismoCoach.com. My name's Jason, I'll be your coach for the day. Just following on from the last video, we're going to talk today about the driving assists. We'll start with the driving line, and we'll talk about cones and corner markers. And then probably in the next video we might get we might move on to traction control and moving towards the manual gearbox. As you can see, I've gone into Dragon Trail here. I'm on the same profile we just finished the last video. We're in the Lexus Group 4 because we think that's quite a nice car to use for this demonstration. I'll put it to the auto for the sake of this. Actually, no, I can leave it on the manual. We'll talk about that later. I've gone to the hardest car, one more time, the softest tires, the ones with the most grip on the super softs. And we will turn for the time being all of the indicators on, driving line assists, and let's see how it goes. There it is. So the first thing you'll notice is that lovely yellow brick road in the middle. That's a line that theoretically is the shortest distance between 2 points, the smoothest everything. So it's a great idea to follow that around, except that there's one small problem, is it's not necessarily the fastest way to drive. So as a beginner, it's great to follow the line. It keeps you on the track, as you can see I'm doing now. But look, there you go. By pulling well wide like that and coming down through here, it's not necessarily the fastest way to do Dragon Trail. So let's see why that is. I'll restart and show you from the beginning, because this is a very good example. On this very last corner of the track, before we come around onto the main straight where the start-finish line is, if you look in the top right corner of the screen, you can see the long straight. After this, the very tight hairpin corner, there's a long straight to the start-finish line. So if I follow the racing line, here I go, follow the theoretical line here, we come nicely around this corner, everything is nice, and we continue up onto the straight, and away we go. But the problem with that is that it's not necessarily the fastest way to go. I'll just do this one more time. Oh, look at that, the driving line's not in the reverse. Okay, let's just say, this time around, instead of following the yellow line, I went a little bit wide coming in here, deliberately, braked out here, and then as I came around here, instead of hitting the apex, which is right where the cone is and that blue marker you can see, instead of coming closest to the corner at that point, I went a little bit past it and I came to say here. Now, what can you see ahead? What you'll see is I get a much straighter line coming out of the corner. So that means that theoretically I could be building up speed here a lot faster than if it was if I took the theoretical line. So in the case where you have a long straight after a sharp corner, you're much better to take a late apex and maximize your exit speed so that all the way up through the straight you've got the maximum speed. Whereas this corner here, you'll see coming up, if you look ahead of this first corner you can see in front of you, the next corner, which you can't quite see yet, there it is very close. So there's very little benefit having a high exit speed from this corner. You're much better to come in sliding, let's just say sliding, come in fast, brake as hard as you can all the way through, because there's no point in having an exit speed back there. At this point in time, this is where you want the high exit speed. So that's why following the yellow line is not necessarily the fastest. Let's see if we can turn that off in here. Driving line off. Did it work? Yes, okay. Now, the next thing is the cones. I'll try to cover those before the end of the video. The cones are great. The only problem with the cones is that you can hit them and move them, so they're not permanent. You see, this one is supposed to indicate your braking distance, but if there's a bit of a crash, let's say all these cars have a bit of a crash and they hit the cones, it does two things. One, the car, when you hit it, it destabilizes the car, so if it is on a corner where you need it. Also, it's moved them, so next time round I'm going to brake too late. What I do like is that instead of using the cones, you can use a braking indicator that's not movable. So I'll just come around here. Again, we'll demonstrate the previous one. I want to get a good exit speed coming through this corner here. Drop the gear. I haven't done the manual gearbox yet. We'll talk about that next. We're getting maximum speed up through here. Okay, now here's a good example. You see this one coming up here. There's two cones on the left-hand side indicating that's a really good spot to start braking before you go into that corner. The problem is, as I mentioned, if you hit them, they're gone. Luckily, there's a great big sign above that says 150, and there's a very obvious black and white ripple strip right here that also indicates virtually exactly the same point. So therefore, in my opinion, you don't need the cones. The dangerous part with the cones is, of course, occasionally you hit them and they will destabilize the car. The blue markers, however, they never move, so you know you can leave them on if you wish to, and you can't destabilize. You see, can't hit it, no problem at all. So that's my feeling on the driver's line assist. Learn the track well in the circuit experience to find out where are the fast parts and where you need to do a late apex. Learn your braking points through fixed markers on the side of the track rather than the movable cones, and then turn off the assists so that you're not distracting the focus when you should be. See, here we go, late apex if I can. I've gone way too late. Not a good example, but you get the idea. Okay, in the next video we'll deal with the manual gearbox, which I have got it in the manual gearbox, and we'll explain why that is in the next video.